Are you ready to commit that none of the evidence in the January 6th investigation will be destroyed under your watch?
Senator, I will follow the law. I will consult with ethical officials in the
Do
department.
you see any ethical basis to destroy evidence in the January 6th investigation? Then why can't you answer the question? Why can't you say, I commit to this committee, we will never destroy the evidence in the January 6th investigation? Why can't you give this committee and the American people that assurance?
Are you frightened because evidence was destroyed against President Trump that was false? Is that why you're frightened now? I can't believe this is even...
Why do you have difficulty answering that question?
She couldn't bring herself to say that the January 6th investigation needed safeguarding, and what happened afterwards was totally surprising. The recent clash between Adam Schiff and Pam Bondi went beyond just a legal showdown. It turned into a keen analysis of the power struggles in the U.S. government. Schiff underscored the urgent need for an attorney general who isn't swayed by politics, warning that the Supreme Court's reckless decision essentially gave the president a free pass to dodge accountability, letting him use the Justice Department for his own benefit. Bondi, a passionate Trump backer, tried to confuse things by downplaying the absence of solid evidence in the probes into January 6th and the 2020 election. Schiff cut through her attempts to distract with clarity. He made it clear that if the Supreme Court protects the presidency from being held accountable, then the last line of defense has to be an attorney general who operates independently of political ties. This wasn't just a policy debate. It was a clear warning that if the Department of Justice lacks real independence, the line between enforcing the law and enabling presidential wrongdoing becomes worryingly unclear.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Bondi, as you know, the Supreme Court in Trump versus United States held the president has absolute immunity to commit crimes in certain core areas of the president's responsibility. One of those core areas is the Justice Department. So in a breathtakingly dangerous and irresponsible decision, Justice Roberts and the majority held the president could commit crimes using the Department of Justice and be immune from prosecution. Justice Sotomayor correctly said this new immunity lies about like a loaded weapon. So the fear and the concern we have is that the incoming president will use that loaded weapon, that immunity, to commit crimes through the Department of Justice. And for that reason, it is all the more important that we have an attorney general who has the independence, the strength, the intestinal fortitude to say no to the president when it is necessary. So my first set of questions has to do whether you have the independence to say no when you must say no. And you can say this is hypothetical, but it is not hypothetical. So let me start with one very specific non-hypothetical. The president has said Jack Smith should go to jail. Will you investigate Jack Smith?
Senator, I haven't seen the file. I haven't seen the investigation. I haven't looked at anything. It would be irresponsible of me to make a commitment regarding anything without, you're a long practicing attorney, without looking at a file.
So you would need a factual predicate to open an investigation of Jack Smith, is that right?
Not a summary by you sitting here. Yes, sir.
And not a summary by the president either, right?
Absolutely.
So a summary by the president or his desire to investigate Jack Smith would not be enough for you to open an investigation of Jack Smith, is that right?
I will look at the facts and evidence in any case. You know,
and
72%,
sitting here today,
Senator, 72% of Americans
please, I only have
have
7
lost
minutes.
faith in the Department of Justice.
Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Sitting here today, yes or no?
Senator, I will look at the facts and the circumstances.
You can't answer that question. You're not a part of the department yet. There's no worry about divulging law enforcement sensitive information. So just tell us, are you aware of a factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Yes or no?
He stressed that flashy statements from the president aren't a substitute for solid proof. Pam Bondi, supporting Trump's viewpoint, sought to portray the Department of Justice as untrustworthy. Adam Schiff replied with a simple yet vital reminder: just because something is suspicious doesn't mean it's proof of wrongdoing. This clash pointed out a bigger issue: the deliberate effort by some politicians to weaken the public's trust in the DOJ by playing on uncertainties.
Senator, what I'm hearing on the news is
Are you aware of a...
Do I know if he committed a crime? I have not looked
You seem reluctant to answer a simple question. Let me ask you a different simple question. The president also wants to jail Liz Cheney. Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual basis to investigate Liz Cheney? Yes or no?
Senator, that's a hypothetical, and I'm not going to answer that question.
No, it's not hypothetical. I'm asking you, sitting here today, whether you are aware of a factual predicate to investigate Liz Cheney.
Senator, no one
Based
has
on
asked
what you
me
know.
to investigate Liz Cheney. That is a
The
hypothetical.
president has called for it publicly. You are aware of that, aren't you?
No one has asked me to investigate
But the president
Liz.
has
We're
called-
also
the
worried about
president-
Liz Cheney,
the
Senator.
president has
You know what
called
we
for
should
this-
be worried about?
Ms. Bondi,
The
please
crime rate
answer
in
my
California
questions.
right now
You are
is
aware,
through the roof.
Ms. Bondi,
Your robberies
Ms.
are
Bondi,
87%
my
higher
question-
than the national
my question
average.
is this.
That's what I
My
want to
question
be
is this.
focused on, Senator.
Do you have the
if I'm
power to
confirmed
say
as
no to the
Attorney
president?
General.
And what you're suggesting today by your non-answer is you don't have the independence to say no to the president. So let me ask you a different question. It also requires you, if you're going to be a good attorney general, to be able to tell hard truths to the president. So my questions now are, can you tell hard truths to the president? So let me start with an easy truth that you could speak to the president. Can you tell us, can you tell him that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election? Can you say that? Do you have the independence to say that? Do you have the gravitas, the stature, the intestinal fortitude to say, Donald Trump, you lost the 2020 election? Can you tell us that here today?
What happened escalated beyond a simple clash, transforming into a major showdown that involved not just Liz Cheney, but also questioned the very nature of truth. The events that followed were even more significant. The showdown between Adam Schiff and Pam Bondi exposed the hollowness of the Trump administration's evasions. When questioned about the baseless attacks on Liz Cheney, Bondi fell back on a typical MAGA move, sidestepping the topic by shifting the focus to local crime statistics instead of taking on the real issue. Schiff wasn't about to let her sidestep the issue. He honed in on the crux of independence. Would Bondi ever muster the bravery to go against Trump and acknowledge that he lost the 2020 election, or was she destined to be just another follower, repeating his falsehoods? At that point, the discussion about Cheney wasn't the main focus anymore. The real issue at hand was whether loyalty was stronger than honesty. Schiff's resolve pointed to a deep crisis facing American politics. Will Republican leaders ever break free from Trump's lies, or will they remain attached to his version of reality, thus weakening the foundation of democracy?
Senator, what I can tell you is I will never play politics. You're trying to engage me in a gotcha. I won't
I'm just
do it.
asking you a simple
I
question.
won't play
If you can
politics
speak truth
with any
to
ongoing
power. So
investigation.
let me ask you another.
Like you did
let
leaking
me-
your
let me ask
colleague
you,
Devin Nunes's memo.
If you can't answer the question, let me ask you a different, what should be a simple truth, not a hard one. Was there massive fraud affecting the result of the 2020 election, yes or no?
Senator, I'm glad you asked that question. If you'll let me answer what I saw in Pennsylvania.
No, I asked a simple question about massive fraud.
I can only tell you what I saw in
No, I know you want to
Pennsylvania.
answer a different question, but my question is, can you tell us whether there was massive fraud affecting the results of the 2020 election, yes or no? Was there
I
or
can
was there
tell
not?
you what I saw when I went
That's
as an
not my,
advocate
that's
to
not
the
my
campaign.
question. So you can't answer that question. You can't speak that even easy truth to us, let alone to the president. So let me ask you a different question. It will also be important that you give good advice to the president. Are you prepared to advise the president not to pardon people who beat police officers?
Senator, as I said, the pardons are at the direction of the president. We will look and we will advise. I will look at every case on a case.
so you
Let me
look at-
finish on a case-by-case
Okay,
basis.
okay, good.
And I abhor violence to police officers.
Follow up with that. So will it be your advice to the president, Mr. President, I know you said you want to issue hundreds of pardons on day one. Will it be your advice to the president? No, Mr. President, I need to go over them on a case-by-case basis. Do not issue blanket pardons. Will that be your advice to the president?
So are you ready to advise the president against pardoning those who attacked the police? Senator, as I mentioned, granting pardons is the president's prerogative. We'll take a look and provide recommendations. I'll assess each situation on its own merits. If I could just finish, I strongly oppose any acts of violence against law enforcement. So, is that going to be your advice to the president? Mr. President, I hear you plan to grant a lot of pardons right away. Would you suggest steering clear of pardoning everyone without looking into each case separately? Can you promise that no evidence from the January 6th investigation will be erased while you're leading? Senator, I'll follow all legal guidelines and seek advice from ethics experts in the department. Can you think of any ethical reason for eliminating evidence connected to the January 6th investigation? Why aren't you willing to assure this committee and the American people that the evidence will be safeguarded? Are you hesitant because misleading evidence was removed in the case against President Trump? Is that why this question feels tough? She just couldn't promise to protect the integrity of the January 6th investigation. What happened next was surprising. The clash between Adam Schiff and Pam Bondi went beyond the usual legal theatrics, raising an important issue about the balance of power in American government. Schiff highlighted the pressing need for an impartial attorney general, warning about the Supreme Court's hasty decision that gave the president an unfair edge, opening the door for the manipulation of the Justice Department to serve personal agendas. Bondi, firmly backing Trump, tried to shift the focus by downplaying the absence of solid proof in the probes surrounding the events of January 6th and the 2020 election. Still, Schiff managed to cut through her distractions, plainly asserting that if the highest court grants presidents immunity, the Attorney General needs to stay firm and impartial. The discussion went beyond just policy, warning that if the DOJ isn't genuinely independent, the line between properly enforcing the law and covering up presidential wrongdoing becomes alarmingly thin. Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Bondi, as the Supreme Court confirmed in Trump versus the USA, the president has complete immunity when it comes to certain main responsibilities, especially when dealing with the Justice Department. In a shockingly irresponsible ruling, Justice Roberts stated that the president can utilize the DOJ to carry out crimes without fear of being prosecuted. Justice Sawyer correctly pointed out that this new level of immunity is as dangerous as a weapon ready to strike. As a result, there's a valid worry that the next president could misuse this immunity for illegal activities through the DOJ. So it's crucial to have an attorney general who can push back against the president when necessary. My initial questions focus on your ability to challenge the president when necessary. These aren't just theoretical. Let's start with a real situation. Pam Bondi echoed Trump's narrative in trying to question the DOJ's credibility, while Adam Schiff pointed out that simply suspecting someone doesn't make them guilty. Senator, it seems like you're suggesting that I'm hesitant to answer direct questions. Let me ask you this instead. Is there, or has there ever been, any legitimate reason to consider investigating Liz Cheney in response to the president's call for her imprisonment? Is there any real reason right now, or has there ever been, to look into Liz Cheney based on the president's call for her imprisonment? Or is it just a hypothetical scenario? I'm not looking for speculation here. I'm asking if there's any actual evidence to support launching an investigation into her. Senator, no one has told me to look into Cheney, so it's just speculation at this point. You know that no one has requested an investigation, yet since the president has been pushing for Cheney's arrest, there are some worries. Ms. Bondi's shift to local crime stats sidesteps giving a proper response. Schiff gets to the heart of the matter. Will Bondi acknowledge Trump's defeat in the 2020 election? Or will she join those parroting his false claims? In his discussion with Cheney, the spotlight turned to a critical question. Would Bondi acknowledge the truth of Trump's 2020 defeat, or would he fall in line with spreading falsehoods? Schiff highlighted a troubling political issue. Blind loyalty to Trump's myths undermines the very foundation of democracy. Will GOP leaders break away from falsehoods, or will they stick to skewed stories, jeopardizing the basics of democracy? Senator, I believe in staying true to my principles, steering clear of superficial political drama. Your questions seem to tie into a widespread misunderstanding of what it means to oversee this process. Let me ask you more directly, since you've been hesitant to answer. Did significant fraud change the outcome of the 2020 election? Just a simple yes or no. I'm glad you're asking. But I need to explain what happened in Pennsylvania because it's crucial to share what I personally experienced. I'm not trying to avoid the question, but rather stick to the facts of what I saw, leaving larger fraud claims to be evaluated by comprehensive evidence. It's important to give the president solid guidance. Are you prepared to advise him to avoid pardoning those who attack police officers? Senator, like I said, the decision to grant pardons is up to the president. We'll take a close look and offer our guidance. I plan to evaluate every situation on its own merits. Please allow me to finish. I'll thoroughly examine every situation. I have a strong dislike for any violence against law enforcement. So, would you be advising the president on this matter? Mr. President, with your intention to issue a significant number of pardons on your first day, will your advice be tailored? No, Mr. President. I have to evaluate each case individually based on its specific details. Are you advising the president to avoid giving out large-scale pardons? When asked the straightforward question, was there widespread election fraud? She still couldn't provide an honest response. What followed removed any remaining uncertainty. Let's dive into it. In the discussion between Schiff and Bondi about the 2020 election and presidential pardons, it was a textbook example of one side seeking responsibility while the other dodged it. Schiff challenged Trump's baseless allegations of widespread voter fraud, pressing for a clear answer. Bondi dodged the reality, choosing to be evasive. When the topic shifted to presidential pardons, she used careful wording, vaguely committing to evaluate them one by one, tactfully avoiding directly criticizing how Trump might be using pardons for political purposes. Schiff kept pressing with questions, pointing out the high stakes involved. This went beyond just legal details. It was about whether leaders are truly dedicated to protecting democracy when faced with lies and the misuse of power. Bondi's dodging showed a basic reality. Her loyalty to Trump outweighed her dedication to the truth. Senator, I haven't gone over any of those cases. If I'm confirmed, I'll go over them. Do you think you can really look at hundreds of cases on your first day? I'll go through each case. I get. Absolutely not. Are you planning to give advice to the president? May I chime in? I'd have a large team to assist me. You've already mentioned that you're going to take a close look at these cases yourself. Got it. Let's dive into a different question. You don't seem eager to answer that one. Senator, did Congress ever reprimand you for comments like these, which are just as crucial for protecting records and evidence from the department? Could you assure us that no evidence from the January 6th investigation will be destroyed while you're in charge? Senator, I'll make sure to follow the law. I'll check in with the department's ethics team. Can you think of any ethical reason to get rid of evidence from the January 6th investigation? So why can't you just assure this committee? Can you explain why you can't promise the committee and the American people that evidence from the January 6th investigation will be preserved? Is your reluctance due to concerns about tampered evidence against President Trump being discarded? Is that why you're holding back? What's making it so difficult to respond? It's truly perplexing. Why can't you commit to safeguarding evidence at the Department of Justice? What's so hard about that? I'll follow the law. It shouldn't be hard to make that promise. Was directly asked if she'd commit to protecting the January 6th evidence, yet she still didn't confirm she would. That in itself says a lot. The heated discussion between Adam Schiff and Pam Bondi over keeping the January 6th records really got to the heart of public trust in the U.S. Schiff was insistent on ensuring that crucial records, which could potentially involve Trump and his team, are safeguarded, as this relates directly to public trust in us. Institutions. Meanwhile, Bondi's dodging of the issue only underscored the gravity of the matter. Being open and responsible means nothing if crucial evidence can be hidden, tampered with, or eliminated. This wasn't just a small procedural hiccup, it was about ensuring the historical facts stayed genuine and weren't changed for political reasons. Schiff's questions really highlighted what was at risk. If we don't have safeguards in place, the investigation into January 6th might crumble under political influence, abandoning the pursuit of truth. What do you think? Drop your opinions in the comments below. If you found this analysis thought-provoking, consider subscribing for additional content. The upcoming piece is set to unveil even more insights. She faced the easiest question conceivable. Was there widespread election fraud? She was asked. Yet she couldn't be honest. When she dodged Trump's baseless claims and didn't provide any straightforward responses, it highlighted issues beyond just the law. The bigger question came to light. Are our leaders actually willing to defend democracy against lies and misuse of power? Bondi avoiding the topic revealed a deeper truth. Her loyalty to Trump was stronger than any commitment to honesty.
Senator, I have not looked at any of those files. If confirmed, I will look at the files
And
for
will
the
you be able to
pardons, as well
will
as
you
the
be able to
ongoing
review
investigation.
hundreds of cases on day one?
I will look at every file I am
Of course
asked
you
to
won't.
look
So
at.
will you advise the
Hey,
president?
can I
will
answer
you-
the question?
Well, my question
I
is-
would have plenty of staff. You said, of course you want.
You'll be able to review
Listen, I'm
hundreds
not
of
going to
cases on the first
mislead
day?
this body nor you.
All right, let me ask another question. You don't want to answer that. Let me ask
You were
another question.
censured by
It will
Congress, Senator, for
it will
comments just like this that
it
are
will
so reckless.
It will also be important for you to be able to preserve the records, the evidence of the department. Are you ready to commit that none of the evidence in the January 6th investigation will be destroyed under your watch?
Senator, I will follow the law. I will consult with ethical officials in the
Do you
department.
see any ethical basis to destroy evidence in the January 6th investigation? Then why can't you answer the question? Why can't you say, I commit to this committee, we will never destroy the evidence in the January 6th investigation? Why can't you give this committee and the American people that assurance?
Are you frightened because evidence was destroyed against President Trump that was false? Is that why you're
Why do
frightened
you
now?
have
I can't believe this is even,
Why do you have difficulty answering that question?
I can't believe
Why do you
you're
have
asking such a
difficulty?
question.
Why do you have difficulty promising to preserve evidence at the Department of Justice? Why is that a difficult question?
I will follow the law.
It shouldn't be a difficult question.
She was asked a straightforward question. Would she commit to keeping the January 6th evidence intact? But she couldn't give a clear yes. Just that pause says a lot. The intense exchange between Adam Schiff and Pam Bondi about protecting the January 6 documents really highlighted the public's confidence in America's institutions. Schiff wouldn't back down, pushing hard for a straightforward assurance to secure key documents that could potentially incriminate Trump and his circle. Bondi's evasiveness just underscored the gravity of the issue. If evidence can be hidden, tampered with, or wiped out, then transparency and accountability lose all significance. This wasn't just a minor administrative problem. It was a battle over whether history would faithfully reflect the truth or be manipulated to push political agendas. Schiff's questioning highlighted just how critical the situation is. Without firm guarantees, the investigation into January 6th could fall victim to party loyalty, leaving the pursuit of truth incomplete. What's your opinion on this? Let us know what you think in the comments below. If you found this analysis enlightening, make sure to subscribe. The upcoming one is set to be even more revealing.